they took it or he made them take it?
Okay, well.
Hey. All right, let's go ahead and open up with a prayer.
Hallelujah.
You know, we got the pre-class thing going on.
YouTube be like, come on then. Let's talk.
YouTube waiting for us to open up the Bibles.
Yeah.
It's like when we get into the Bibles.
Yeah, I get more.
All brothers remove their head coverings. All sisters pray with their heads covered. And we face the east towards Jerusalem.
Yeah, I did.
Our Father, Yahweh, Elohim, the Allah of Abraham, Yashak, and Yaakov. Covenant Father, Elohim of Yahshua, we thank you, Yahweh, once again for allowing us a means and a desire to come together to read out of your scriptures, to search diligently, Yahweh, for we understand that each individual must work out their own salvation with fear and trembling. So we're thankful that you have showed us your fear, your Yahweh, not a fear of that we don't know you, but a fear of not being in the love that you provided for us, knowing how much love and how much mercy you provide in our lives, Yahweh. So we thank you that you have given us eyes to see that. We ask that you open up your scriptures, Yahweh, not only to us, but all the viewers and all the readers, all those that are seeking to learn you, Yahweh, and to learn how to be closer unto you and be a better light in this world, Yahweh. We ask that you unlock that, Yahweh. And we know that is according to your scripture. So we have faith and we believe, but still we supplicate, Yahweh, for we know we are not worthy. But we ask that you also please forgive us of our sins and trespasses, Yahweh, and allow us to have a merciful heart towards our brothers and sisters who may not be as quite awakened as we or may be in darkness at this time, Yah. Yah, we humbly come together and we ask you and we pray through your holy, humbly anointed Son, Yahshua HaMashiach, in which all praise, majesty, might, and dominion resides here and forevermore. Through you, your majesty, in the name of Yahshua HaMashiach, we thank and pray. Amen.
Amen. Luckily, family, y'all got tissues because I have a faucet nose today.
You need a handkerchief. You know how they tell you on the mat, just blow it out.
Yes, please.
Just blow it out.
Yeah, but
we don't care, just blow it out.
That don't look very righteous on camera.
Nah, that's not very clean. That's not Kodesh.
Thank you so much.
And gave him some construction paper to wipe it. Some cardboard. There you go, brother. That'll get it.
You Israelite.
We used to wipe our nose with stone back in the day.
These buds.
Grab the pine cone around here and wipe my nose.
Sandpaper nose. Israelite noses are like the noses of other nations.
They are very stiff.
They are very... Oh, man.
If you tune in on time, you might get some extra information. Because apparently YouTube just decides to stream when it wants to stream.
They opening up Samson with
the
Black
same
Panther.
day as Black Panther.
White Samson.
And they got the white Samson.
White Samson on Black Panther. Watch it.
So you see the subliminal here? They got Samson. They say, okay, you want to be the African warrior, right? Well, we don't want them pinpointing where in Africa they from. Go ahead and throw that Samson out there. We're gonna make the Israelite white, and we're gonna make the Philistine white.
Nah,
because this the Philistine woman right there.
They was pretty much like, look, white people are not gonna want to see Black Panther. We need to come out for something for them to see on that day.
Give them something white to look at.
White Samson.
Oh boy.
With 7 locks, right?
This dude has no locks. He has straight hair.
He got 7 braids.
He has seven strands of fur in his head or something. Yeah, they coming out with Samson the same day as Black Panther.
Wow.
That's rude.
That's just,
they disrespectful.
That's just disrespectful.
Go ahead and got to look at something too.
Come on, man.
I gotta fix this lighting. I don't like this lighting.
They gonna mess up Samson ratings.
They should have just called it White Samson. I mean, they should just, that's what they should have. I'm pretty sure there's a movie called Samson. I'm pretty sure there's a movie called Samson already. They should have distinguished it. Not Samson, the White Samson. Not biblical Samson.
Man. Nah, they just released Zeus again. That's all that is.
All right, brothers, sisters, bear with us. We try and get this color together. We had a little bit of a late start, and I do not like looking at off color. I doubt y'all would want to look at it for 2 hours straight. Some messed up color.
The glory belongs to Yah. I like that. I like that title.
All right, shalom. My name is YAH. My brother Yonatan Yashua. Shalom. And the title of today's Bible study is The Glory Belongs to Yah. The glory belongs to Yah. And you ask yourself, you know, what somebody that is everything that was ever created came from him. He's the source of all energy that ever existed. How do you glorify something like that? How does he get glory? Because he's everything. Anything that's good is glory. And it's pretty simple. You just don't steal his glory, because he's going to get his glory regardless. And then with an invisible spirit, how does he get his glory in the physical with somebody able to see something? So that means he's going to put his spirit and he's going to put his glory into something that we can physically see. But he wants us to turn around and see that and give the glory to him and give the praise to him and not glorify the thing that is holding the glory. So we're going to examine that. We're going to look at his glory and how some of it looks and how to better glorify the Most High. So we're going to open up first in Deuteronomy chapter 7. And I'll tell you, one thing that can definitely glorify Yahweh is when the adversary of the devil don't get his victory. That's how you glorify the Most High. When the adversary of the devil come at you and try to attack you and try to get you to quit and try to get you to defect, try to give you to give up your crown, to give up your inheritance, and just believe all the negative stuff that people might have told you, or the negative things that comes in each and every one of our heads. When you don't allow that to make you not do the law and righteous thing, the Most High gets the glory. So ultimately, the deceiver, the adversary, he wants to rob that glory from the Most High. And anytime he is using his agents or his ability and his craftiness to get the glory to shift from the Most High, he don't care if it goes to you, you take the glory, or it goes to some God that don't exist. He don't care as long as the glory goes away from the Most High. Deuteronomy, Devarim chapter 7, and we're going to start this at verse 1.
When Yahweh your Elohim shall bring you into the land where you go to possess it, and has cast out many nations before you, the Hittites and the Girgashites and the Amorites and the Canaanites and the Perizzites and the Hivites and the Jebusites, 7 nations greater and mightier than you. And when Yahweh your Elohim shall deliver them before you, you shall smite them and utterly destroy them. You shall make no covenant with them, nor show mercy unto them, neither shall you make marriages with them. Your daughter you shall not give unto his son, nor his daughter shall you take unto your son.
All right, so these are the nations of the land. Those are the 7 nations, the Canaanite nations that Yahweh told us to utterly destroy. So these are the nations he specifically said, do not marry these people. Do not make covenant with these people. You're to destroy them, and you're to destroy everything that they possess. Go ahead.
For they will turn away your son from following me, that they may serve other gods. So will the anger of Yahweh be kindled against you and destroy you suddenly.
All right, so this is why he disliked those people. It's because they will turn the sons and daughters of Yah away from him. These specific nations. Now, why is it these specific nations? Could be their practices, but familiarity. They're right next to you. They're right around you. So obviously somebody's culture that, you know, somebody way over there in in Brazil right now, it's really not going to be a problem for me trying to copy their culture. I got to go out of their way to copy their culture, especially back then. But when you have people right around you that are doing all these pagan practices with beautiful women, with all kind of stuff right there, it makes it harder on you. And when these type of people, also a lot of these type of nations can also have a very matriarchal type of society where the women are a little bit different. So when you start to look at all those different equations, these are certain type of women the Most High didn't want mixing with us. And there's certain type of men they did not want being heads over our women.
Brother, can you just add to that Deuteronomy chapter
6?
4,
Mm-hmm.
when you talk about verse 19 to 20, and that will maybe shed a little bit more light at that. In the beginning portion of what you just talking about?
You talking about the as far as the idols, idolizing anything in heaven above or on the earth?
That's part of it. When you get to 19, he said, lift up thine eyes to heaven, and when thou seest the sun, the moon, could he go? He's talking about that because on 20, he's getting to why he only took us. Because I think that might be a good few verses before we get down further into why we are holy people.
Right. When it's talking about what brother Elder is talking about, he's talking about in Deuteronomy chapter 4, where it goes through them not taking anything in heaven, earth, or anything and making that into an idol, that he gave us no similitude. So it goes into that and it says, well, these stars, the hosts of heaven, all that was given to the other nations. They can worship all that. That's for them. But for you, I gave you a living Elohim. So for us to turn around and start to do the things they're doing is ridiculous because he already showed himself to us. There's no reason. He explained to our ancestors the stars, how they operate, how they move. They don't have power over us. He has explained that to us. He has explained the signs that they are for us. So for us to turn around and do that is very wicked because the other nations, they believe in what was exposed to them. The evil angels that came to them.
And Yahweh had, brought us out down and first to give us an inheritance. So how we can receive that inheritance if we find other nations? If we follow other nations?
Exactly. All right, go ahead, brother.
Verse 5. But thus shall you deal with them. You shall destroy their altars and break down their images and cut down their groves and burn their graven images with fire. For you are a holy people unto Yahweh your Elohim. Yahweh your Elohim has chosen you to be a special people unto himself above all people that are upon the face of the earth. Yahweh did not set his love upon you nor choose you because you were more in number than any people, for you were the fewest of all people. But because Yahweh loved you, and because he would keep the oath which he had sworn unto your fathers, has Yahweh brought you out with a mighty hand and redeemed you out of the house of bondmen from the hand of Pharaoh, king of Mitzrayim.
All right, so there's no reason for us to glory about being Yasharal, because at the end of the day, it wasn't because we were greater or mightier. It's not like we had more people, or it wasn't that we were a stronger people or bigger stature or whatever the case may be. It's no, because he decided this is how he wanted to get his glory. What good is it if you play 2K basketball, right? And you play somebody that never played before, and you play all the time, and you just pick Golden State and decide, I want to pick Steph Curry and I want to play. You expect people to score a lot and win with that. But you turn around and you pick, one of these garbage teams, and you play with that, and you turn that, and you win a championship. That's where you get recognition. That's how you get glory. So the Most High took us where we were the smallest nation, a smaller group of people that were already slaves and had all kind of issues, and he decided, nah, I'm gonna take you. I'm going to take you out of your servitude, and I'm going to show my might to the world through you. But that was for him to get glory, not for us to take that glory for him. And shalom, brother Yehuda Yasharal, brother Darius, and brother Lucas Cool. Shalom, brothers. Appreciate y'all joining.
Hallelujah.
Go ahead.
Verse 9. We're at Deuteronomy chapter 7 and verse 9. Know therefore that Yahweh your Elohim, he is Elohim, the faithful all, which keeps covenant and mercy with them that love him and keep his commandments to 1,000 generations, and repays them that hate him to their face, to destroy them. He will not be slack to him that hates him. He will repay him to his face. You shall therefore keep the commandments and the statutes and the judgments which I command you this day to do them. Wherefore it shall come to pass, if you hearken to these judgments and keep and do them, that Yahweh your Elohim shall keep unto you the covenant and the mercy which he swore unto your fathers.
So this is another way that he gets glory. Because again, the world does not know Yahweh the way we know Yahweh. They've had their own interpretation and their own understanding and their own stuff based upon the different things that they were exposed to. We know him. So when we keep the commandments, this allows the Most High to bless us in our lives. That's proof that the Most High said, listen, you do this, I'm going to bless you high above everybody else. This is how he gets his glory, because now it's like, oh, look, I did this and I received this because of the Most High. So the Most High gets glory. I guess the Most High not a liar. I guess he's powerful because he can take somebody that used to be a sinner and he decided he's going to turn around and do the right thing. And look at how he's being blessed. They're going to see, wow, this Most High Yahweh is real. This is not like these other gods that are full of vanity, that whether you act right or whether you don't act right, you get the same outcome.
I think this was a good time to introduce this scripture as well. This is 2 Chronicles 12, verse 7 and 8. And it's talking about when they were coming out of Assyria. And it says, when Yahweh saw that they humbled themselves, the word of Yahweh came to Shemaiah, saying, they have humbled themselves, therefore I will not destroy them, but I will grant them some deliverance. And my wrath shall not be poured out upon Jerusalem by the hand of Shishak. Nevertheless, they shall be his servants, that they may know my service. So this is him saying, I'm going to send them into captivity, but there's a reason, that they may know my service and the kingdoms of the countries. So them going into captivity for all those wrongs that they were doing, y'all was turning it into a right that, okay, since y'all want to be disobedient, you're going to go and serve all these nations, but at the same time, you're going to learn what it means to serve me.
Right.
But even by the hand of your oppressors.
Exactly. Because you're going to have to learn how to serve your oppressor with the same kind of fervent work that you serve the Most High, so that you can show that, listen, even that I got this wicked person over me, because I serve the Most High, this is how a servant of the Most High is going to be. I'm going to show you, even in this oppression, I'm going to serve the Most High, and that's going to benefit you because you got a servant of the Most High working for you.
And also when
the elder said, Yosef, perfect example.
And when we have dominion, we're not going to lord ourselves over the other nations the way they did over us. We'll have some mercy and we won't use rigor like how they did to us.
Right.
Verse 9. Know therefore that Yahweh your Elohim, he is Elohim, the faithful all, which keeps covenant. And then we're going to scroll down to verse 12. Wherefore it shall come to pass, if you hearken to these judgments and keep and do them, that Yahweh your Elohim shall keep unto you the covenant and the mercy which he swore unto your fathers. And he will love you and bless you and multiply you. He will also bless the fruit of your womb and the fruit of your land, your corn and your wine and your oil, the increase of your kine and the flocks of your sheep, in the land which he swore unto your fathers to give you.
So he's telling us point blank, I'm going to bless you with all these things, everything that matters, not just these spiritual things like, well, you're going to be spiritually smart, you're going to be healthy. No, I'm going to bless your storehouse, your carnal life, your pay, your house, what you produce, all these different things. He's the Elohim of everything, not just the spiritual things that we can't see and righteousness and being nice and all. No, he's going to bless your work. The things you touch, your hands, your children, the things you produce, all these different things. And he gets his glory because we show in the world that we believe. We believe in something that the world can't see, in an invisible Elohim. We believe, and here's the proof. You don't believe me? Here's the proof. I kept the commandments, and look at my life. Look at my lifestyle. But the problem is we lack that faith. And because we lack that faith because we weren't brought up in that faith. We were brought up in this world. So we lack that faith. So he can't just pour these blessings on us because we're not doing the things that gives him the glory. He doesn't get glory by us not keeping the commandments and he bless us. Then he'd be no different than a dead idol that don't exist. They can turn around and give the glory and say, oh, this guy just gave me this stuff. But the guy don't even exist. It's a God that was made up a few hundred years ago. There's no difference. But with our Elohim, he's a living Elohim. We have to physically do the things that he commands us to do, regardless of the situation. And then he blesses us and we give him the glory for blessing us so the world knows. So this is how he receives his glory. Go ahead, brother.
Verse 14. You shall be blessed above all people. There shall not be male or female barren among you or among your cattle. And Yahweh will take away from you all sickness, and will put none of the evil diseases of Mizraim which you know upon you, but will lay them upon all them that hate you. And you shall consume all the people which Yahweh your Elohim shall deliver you. Your eye shall have no pity upon them, neither shall you serve their gods, for that will be a snare unto you. If you shall say in your heart, these nations are more than I, how can I dispossess them? You shall not be afraid of them, but shall well remember that Yahweh your Elohim did unto Pharaoh and unto all Mitzrayim.
All right. So you shall not in your heart be afraid of these nations. He's talking about the nations, the Canaanite nations that are around that were mightier than us, had more people, been there longer, stronger, taller, all those different things. He was talking about that in the physical sense. But it's also in the spiritual sense with us in our lives. We're not to replace these people that are coming against us with the situations in our lives, the things that we have to go through, the decisions that we have to make, the big bully that we got to deal with at work, the corporation bully, all those things, the bully within you, the flesh that's trying to fight against you to tell you, you got to do this, you got to do that because you're afraid or because you're ambitious or whatever it is that's coming against you. You cannot be afraid of those things because at the end of the day, you already understand and you know because it was told to you and your people. If I keep these commandments and I do these things, the glory is going to go to the Most High. He's going to bless me. So we can't be afraid of those things. And he will put us in those situations to go against those titans and those giants and all those people that we're not supposed to win against so that he can get his glory by showing, look, my servant had faith in me. He believed in me and he put himself on the line because he knew what kind of man I was or what kind of Elohim I was. He knew I wasn't going to let him be defeated. He knew I wasn't going to leave him out to dry. Why? Because he puts his faith in me, and nobody that puts, I don't care if you were Israelite or you were Gentile or any of these other nations. If you put your faith in the Most High, he is not going to let you down. But see, faith comes with works. Faith without works is dead, and nothing dead is going to help you. Go ahead.
Verse 19. The great temptations which your eyes saw, and the signs and the wonders, and the mighty hand and the stretched out arm, whereby Yahweh your Elohim brought you out, so shall Yahweh your Elohim do unto all the people of whom you are afraid.
All right, let's stop right there. Let's go to Shemot chapter 19, Exodus chapter 19. And, you know, these studies that we do, it always comes back to getting in these Torah, these 5 books, and getting into these laws and getting into the covenant, because it's just really that simple. Everything else is Exodus 19. Yes, ma'am. Everything else is about, okay, once I know the right thing to do, how do I discern the right time to apply it? Or when I should not do something? How long should I wait? Or when I'm in a emotional situation, how do I make the right decision while I'm emotional? That's what the rest of the book is. But really, it's as simple as just keep the commandments. But we try to make things so difficult in our lives by thinking that there's some kind of different code or different subset that we got to follow. No, we have to take the righteousness of this word and apply it in our everyday lives. And in order to do that, we have to get out of this book. To get out of this book means we have to have an understanding of the precepts that is out of the book. So that is part of our decision making. And when we need to refer, we can refer back to the book and say, look, this is a gray area here. Let's go back. What is the law pertaining to that? You have something, Elder?
One small thing that I believe I can add to that, you know, is this: sometimes we study this book and then the question that you stated that, you know, when we should use things Yahweh is telling us. The problem is that it might be a fact that we're not studying hard enough, or we haven't put in position enough to use it. Because
Right.
a lot of times we don't stop and think.
Mm-hmm.
If we allow ourselves to stop and think and stop allowing ourselves, and I'm guilty as this myself, getting into our emotions because of the attitude we have, because we're angry, stuff like that, or we might be confused because a situation has happened. We don't allow ourselves enough time to think what Yahweh said.
Mm-hmm.
What is Yahweh taught? What has Yahweh taught us that we are supposed to reply to a situation instead of acting like a fool or going in the wrong direction? Then we realize we missed that opportunity. See, that's our problem right there and then. And I know I've made a mistake in that area, because after situation is passed and you've tripped over the stone,
Mm-hmm.
you fell down, then you look at me and say, damn, I should have done this. I should have said this. I should have acted in this way, not that way. Well, you know what that means? We just failed that test. Or say Yahweh has given us, illuminated that area and showed us, yeah, you just failed that. So guess what? That's coming around again. It may not come around exactly the way this happened, but it's coming around again. And hopefully you will recognize it,
Right.
so you will not fall over that stone this time.
Right.
Now you can step over that stone and say, okay, I did what I was supposed to do. Now what I do? And that's the problem that we have today. If we even get to that point that we can step over the stone and say, wow, I think I did that right. We haven't gone far enough to say, well, what's my next step?
Mm-hmm.
No, that's the problem that we have. So, and I'm included in this too, my brothers, is that if we can get to the point where we can make that step and stop tripping over the rock in front of us,
Right.
then Yahweh shows, okay, I got another step for you to go, another step for you to go. Instead of we got to backtrack every time you make these stupid mistakes that we do. So I wanted to add that because people always think about that. I think about that. Where should we go next?
Right.
He's already teaching us. The more we read, the more we stand on this word, the more it becomes part of us.
Right.
It's part of our, practice education.
Right.
You mentioned once before, I think in one of the classes, that we practicing.
Mm-hmm.
And we go into the stages of saying how we should do this, how we should do that. We're going from kindergarten, grade school, to high school, you understand? So we're trying to learn how to do this, because if time comes when we have to meet our Father, we'll have some idea of what we need to do next, what follows. We won't go up in there cold. You play sports.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't
Get warmed up. Yeah.
warmed up and you don't train, then you're gonna act the same way when you get the ball in your hand. You're not gonna know what to do, because you have not trained with your crew to know how to react on the field.
Right.
So you play as you practice,
Exactly.
and that's what we do it now. We're practicing
Right.
to do a better job when Yah calls on us.
Right. And that's a very great analogy with the sports, because when you look at a situation, a coach can only train you to do some certain different things. Same thing in martial arts. When this happens, you do that. When that happens, you do that. When here comes here, you move off the line here, so forth and so on. But eventually you're going to come into a point of the fight where there's not an instruction of what I need to do.
Yeah.
So how does your body know what to do? We call it a shay, the spirit to make happen. In Egbel Gun, right? That's a Yoruba word, a shay. Well, with us is the ruach, the spirit. But it can't call to remembrance anything that you haven't put in your remembrance. You have to build a certain subset of information, and the brain has to be trained a certain way to make decisions a certain way. And once you make decisions a certain way, it's growing, just like the word is living. It's constantly growing. Your own ability will grow. The spirit will guide you and lead you into making the right decisions. But you can't separate yourself from that. You got to keep that active at all times. Keep that active. Always stay ready. Just like I go right back to martial arts. Always stay ready. We always ready. You know what I'm saying? You got to always be ready. And to be ready means that you have to keep the spirit of this word, not the physical words in the book, but the spirit behind this, which is the decisiveness to do the right thing in you, and you'll be led. And like the elder says, sometimes in that decisiveness, you're going to make the wrong decision. You learn from that, you get up and you keep going. But the adversary wants to convince you, no, you can't do it. You're going to fail. Just like you did last time. You failed last time, didn't you? Well, yeah, you should just quit. And that's how he can guarantee you fail, is if you quit. So we're in Exodus, Shema, chapter 19. And let's start this at verse 1.
In the 3rd month, when the children of Yasharah were gone forth out of the land of Mitzrayim, the same day came they into the wilderness of Sinai. For they were departed from Rephidim, and were come to the desert of Sinai, and had pitched in the wilderness, and there Yasharah camped before the mount. And Moshe went up unto Elohim, and Yahweh called unto him out of the mountain, saying, Thus shall you say to the house of Jacob, and tell the children of Yasharah, You have seen what I did unto the Mitzrites, and how I bare you on eagle's wings, and brought you unto myself. Now therefore, if you will obey my voice indeed, and keep my covenant, then you shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine.
What's that word for peculiar? Let's look at that word, the Hebrew word. What's the Strong's number?
It is H5459, but mine just only has a strong number by treasure. It doesn't necessarily have it by peculiar.
Okay, let's go look.
Segula.
Let's see. We're at Exodus 19. What verse is that?
That is verse 5.
All right, so peculiar treasure. You shall be a peculiar treasure, and it just has one word. So it actually was one Hebrew word there, which is segulah. Segulah, which is H5459, spelled SEGULLAH. And that is to shut up, wealth, jewel, proper, good, special. So you will be a treasure. You will be a special jewel unto him. And to be a special jewel unto Yah means that you have to obey his voice. That's what makes you special. That's what makes you a jewel. That's what makes you valuable. That's what makes you a treasure. That's what makes you peculiar. If you want to use the English word they use, that's peculiar. Because you're different than everybody. Because you're obeying his voice. This is how he's getting his glory. You get glory and treasure. You don't get glory and trash. Look at this trash that I got. Look at this crap that I threw out. Look at it. It's great. No, you get stuff from something that is worthwhile. And for us to get that treasure and be that treasure, we have to give him his glory. And giving his glory is to take the vessel that belongs to him, that was given and made as a diamond, and return it as a diamond. Don't return it at, you're supposed to take a coal and turn that into a diamond. You don't take a diamond and then make it a coal. So we want to be that peculiar treasure. We were made in his image. We were made to be perfection. So we have to obey his voice to stay that way and be that peculiar treasure.
Also, 2 places in the book where you just got you reading that, Deuteronomy chapter 7, talking about holy people. Basically, it says the same thing there, and it says the same thing right here. It's dealing with his own possession.
Right.
That's what he's calling us. Said we belong to him, his special people, his possession.
Right.
So I want to bring that part up because it makes the same reference in Deuteronomy chapter 7, verse 6, when he talks about chosen people, his holy people, special people, and here the same thing, which is peculiar people. Literally people for his own possession.
Right. And he's saying a treasure unto him above all people.
Right.
For all the earth is his. So all these other nations belong unto him too. But he chose us to be a special people. A treasure. So if he chose us to be a treasure, why are we trying to be the dirt? Why are we trying to be the dirt? That's like the sun saying, I don't want to shine. I want to be dark like the dark side of the moon. Because it looks good. No, because I'm going to hide all my craters. No, the sun was made to shine. And if the sun decides it don't want to shine, it's going to be destroyed. So that's how we are. We were made to be high above all the people of the earth. So we are not high above all the people of the earth right now. We're at the bottom. We're being destroyed because we are not being his treasure. If we want to be trash, that's what we're going to be. We're going to be trash. If we want to be treasure, we'll be high above everybody. But the difference is when we are high above everybody, it's not us exalting ourselves. It's us being in our natural position as the government of this earth, the ambassadors to the Most High. It'll be done in humility.
It stated that also in Deuteronomy 14:2 and in Deuteronomy 26:18. Same thing, same verses. So I just want to know, he's trying to really let us know. It's just what you just said. Look at yourself the way I look at you. So if you're going to be holy, understand why I'm calling you holy. I'm making you my child. I am making you my heirs. So that's why I'm calling you out. You're my possession because I'm training you to be holy. You know, to take over the government, to work in my government, you know, to lead the people. So that's why he says it's over and over and over again. But we have to know it, we have to believe it. Then we know how to walk in it.
And what makes the treasure valuable is the scarcity. Because there's not a lot of it. If there's diamonds everywhere, all over the place, it wouldn't be worth, it wouldn't be precious. So he don't want everybody.
No.
And this is why we have to get that understanding. If he wanted everybody all in the same place like that, then he would have made us all keep his commandments. But instead he gave us free will. Verse 6.
And you shall be unto me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. These are the words that you shall speak unto the children of Yasharal. And Moshe came and called for the elders of the people and laid before their faces all these words which Yahweh commanded him. And all the people answered together and said, all that Yahweh has spoken we will do. And Moshe returned the words of the people unto Yahweh.
All right, so this is a wedding. We agree to the covenant. We take this covenant. So all the people said that. And when you look how the verse started out, it says, in the 3rd month, when the children of Yasharal were gone forth out of the land of Mizraim, the same day came they into the wilderness. The same day as what? The same day that they left out. But this is the 3rd month. So that would be the beginning of the 3rd month. So they're coming in the 3rd month. This is right around where you're getting ready to have your Pentecost coming in the 3rd month. All right. So let's stop right there. Let's move on. Let's go to Zechariah chapter 2. So Yahweh has decided that we are going to be his special people, his peculiar people, his segula. He has decided that that's who we're going to be. So with that, if anybody tries to mess with that, just think about everybody who's special or peculiar in your eyes, to you, that you consider special. What would you do if somebody tried to mess with them? You're not having it. That's your people, your loved one. Let somebody try to hurt your mama, or somebody try to hurt your daddy, or you know, hurt your little brother, or your wife, or your sister, or any one of your sisters in the nation. That's going to spark something crazy. But imagine when you have a father and you have all your children, and one of your children tries to hurt another one of your other children. There's definitely going to be a problem. You're not going to not deal with them because they're all my children, so we're going to let them do that. So it's the same with the Most High. All of them are his children. But he only has one firstborn, Yasharal, and he chose us to be the firstborn. So he put us in a special place. So special that he says, man, anybody who messes with you, we're going to read. Zechariah chapter 2. Can you help her with Zechariah chapter 2?
Oh, you got it, Mama? Uh-oh.
Oh, okay.
Oh, scholarly.
She's waiting on us. All right. Well, excuse me. It took a minute for me to get here.
Verse 1. I lifted up my eyes again and looked, and behold, a man with a measuring line in his hand. Then said I, where go you? And he said unto me, to measure Jerusalem, to see what is the breadth thereof, and what is the length thereof. And behold, the angel that talked with me went forth, and another angel went out to meet him, and said unto him, run, speak to this young man, saying, Jerusalem shall be inhabited as towns without walls for the multitude of men and cattle therein. For I, says Yahweh, will be unto her a wall of fire round about, and will be the glory in the midst of her. Ho, ho, come forth and flee from the land of the north, says Yahweh. For I have spread you abroad as the four winds of heaven, says Yahweh. Deliver yourself, O Zion, that dwells with the daughter of Babylon. For thus says Yahweh of hosts, after the glory has he sent me unto the nations which spoiled you. For he that touches you touches the apple of his eye.
All right. So he who touches us touches the apple of his eye. So we don't have to sit here and try to get revenge on all these nations and, the Euro Gentile and all this stuff for the things they did. Well, Yahweh ain't forgot about that. But all of this is allowed because we can't get glory from us by us transgressing these commandments. So he has to allow what he has to happen. But at the end of the day, he ain't forgot those other nations. So we like to remember that when it pertains to other nations. How much more do you think it pertains to one another when we touching one another, or we disrespecting one another, or we causing one of the little ones to fall? We touching the apple of his eye. Just because you the apple of his eye don't mean you can touch the apple of his eye. Go ahead.
Verse 9. For behold, I will shake my hand upon them, and they shall be a spoil to their servants. And you shall know that Yahweh of hosts has sent me. Sing and rejoice, O daughter of Zion, for lo, I come, and I will dwell in the midst of you, says Yahweh. And many nations shall be joined to Yahweh in that day, and shall be my people, and I will dwell in the midst of you. And you shall know that Yahweh of hosts has sent me unto you.
All right. So many nations.
That's important right there.
Didn't say many tribes. No, many nations shall be joined to Yahweh in that day. That can't happen unless they have the priests. They have to have somebody to show them how to get close unto the Most High, to be joined unto the Most High. How they just gonna know? If Yahweh could just snap his fingers and then all the nations just gonna be close to him, why he didn't do that with Israel? It don't work that way. We have to be joined unto him. We have to be returned back to him because we have been separated from him. Like it says in Jeremiah, your sin has separated you from me. So we have to be joined unto the Most High because the rest of the nations are dependent on us to show them how to be joined to the Most High. They depended on the one nation that Yahweh came to and said, listen, let me show you how to do this. That's how he gets his glory. And he will get even more glory. A king gets so much glory. If just like I get glory in my house, if my wife and kids and everybody listen to me, I get glory. Yeah. But then what happens when I go in Jonathan's house? Or I go somewhere else's house and people don't respect me there? What kind of glory is that? That's simple glory. Yahweh wants the glory because he's the father of all nations. So he needs the glory from all nations. And we are robbing his glory that he's receiving, that he should be receiving from the other nations when we don't act the way we're supposed to act. Because we're to teach the other nations. And why would they want to learn from us and say, look, man, why would I want to learn how to be holy and righteous when your own book says if you holy and righteous, you're going to be on top? But look at you, you at the bottom. Because you ain't holy and righteous. So obviously, if you want me to know how not to be on the top, then I can listen to you. You know what I'm saying? So we robbing glory from the Most High by not being the light that we are supposed to be, so the rest of the nations can be joined unto him in his time. Go ahead.
Verse 12. And Yahweh shall inherit Yehudah his portion in the Holy Land, and shall choose Jerusalem again. Be silent, O all flesh, before Yahweh, for he is raised up out of his holy habitation.
All right, let's go to Malachi chapter 3. So being joined unto him. We just talked about that. Many nations in verse 11 shall be joined to Yahweh in that day and shall be my people. We supposed to be his people. So if we his people, that means we are joined unto him. But to be joined unto him, we got to be the segulah. We got to be that peculiar treasure. So here in Malachi, we're going to talk about how we become that peculiar treasure. Malachi is the last book before Matthew. So it's just a couple more chapters down from where you were.
Malachi chapter 3.
Shalom, Sister Vernie.
And verse 1. Behold, I will send my messenger, and he shall prepare the way before me, and the sovereign whom you seek shall suddenly come to his temple, even the messenger of the covenant whom you delight in. Behold, he shall come, says Yahweh of hosts.
And we went over that last, what was it, Shabbat, or was it last Shabbat, right? Mm-hmm. That was Yohanan the Baptist being prophesied.
We're at Malachi.
Chapter 3.
We're at verse 2.
I see verse 2, but I see verse 3.
Okay, cool. Verse 2. But who may abide the day of his coming? And who shall stand when he appears? For he is like a refiner's fire and like fuller's soap.
He's going to burn away all your impurities. If you are just pure impurity, then what happens to you?
And he shall sit as a refiner and purifier of silver. And he shall purify the sons of Levi and purge them as gold and silver, that they may offer unto Yahweh an offering in righteousness.
All right, so he talks about these Levites and how he has to purify them. Well, what about the rest of the nations? We all, the rest of the nations need to be purified. The rest of the tribes need to be purified. But he's dealing with the Levites here specifically because they come close unto him. The closer you are to Yah, the more he has to purify and refine you. The other nations are way far away from him.
Good point.
So he doesn't have to deal with them the way he deals with us. But because we are called unto him, we are the apple of his eye. If you're the apple of an eye, that means light going to enter and leave through you. That's where all the light is going to be shined. So with us being close unto him, he's got to purify us. And we're going through that fire and we're getting chastened and we're going through all these tribulation and anguish because it's to burn away our impurities. Go ahead.
Verse 4. Verse 4. Then shall the offering of Yehuda and Jerusalem be pleasant unto Yahweh, as in the days of old and as in the former years. And I will come near to you to judgment, and I will be a swift witness against the sorcerers and against the adulterers and against these sticky pages and against false swearers and against those that oppress the hireling in his wages, the widow and the fatherless, and that turn aside the stranger from his right, and fear not me, says Yahweh of hosts. For I am Yahweh, I change not. Therefore you sons of Jacob are not consumed. Even from the days of your fathers you are gone away from my ordinances and have not kept them. Return unto me, and I will return unto you, says Yahweh of hosts. But you said, wherein shall we return? Will a man rob Elohim? Yet you have robbed me. But you say, wherein have we robbed you? In tithes and offerings. You are cursed with a curse, for you have robbed me, even this whole nation. Bring you all the tithes into the storehouse, that there may be meat in my house, and prove me now wherewith, says Yahweh of hosts, if I will not open you the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing, that there shall not be room enough to receive it.
All right, so we know that that verse there in verse 8, Malachi 3 and verse 8 is the one that they love to use to fleece the flock. Will a man rob God? So me putting money in your collection plate, that ain't going to God. That ain't going to Yah.
Nope.
That's going to a man.
Yep.
Now, if that money is going to support the place that is going to give Yah his glory, then yeah, that goes to Yah. Yah don't need our food. He don't need all these different things. But yet he still asks us to give it to him. Why? Because it was supposed to go to the poor, the widows, the oppressed, the fatherless, and the Levite, who was also poor. He was poor because he wasn't given land to produce his own stuff. He was given land just to have the assembly and do the sacrifices and stuff like that. So this is one they like to use out of context. But Yah is also going in here and saying, listen, man, you're robbing me of these things because you're supposed to be giving me the best of what you have. And then the Levites were supposed to take that and dish it out like a welfare system. But the Levites are robbing stuff. The Levites are taking parts of the sacrifice that wasn't supposed to be for them. They're holding stuff back. And furthermore, the people offering stuff were flawed too. So the whole system was flawed. So people are holding back stuff, giving halfway the bottom of the barrel of their stuff to give to the Levite. The Levite taking, the best of the bottom of the barrel, not giving the rest to Yah, not giving the rest to the people that were supposed to get it. So we were dying in that. But Yahweh's challenging us, saying, listen, you worried about not giving me your best stuff because you ain't going to have enough. I challenge you. Give me your stuff. Deal with it the right way, the way you dealt with it in the beginning. And see if I don't cause your storehouses to bust through. Well, this is the same challenge Yahweh has given us. Same challenge. Give me your righteousness. Walk in your righteousness. Keep these laws and watch, challenge me. See if your spirit is not going to be busting through the door with all spirit of righteousness. If the blessings in your life is not busting through, if the rain is not pouring blessings from heaven on you all day long. Challenge me. Go ahead, Elder.
The same phrase came all the way back from Adam and Eve, when he had Cain and Abel.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember somebody had posted on Facebook why, that Yahweh had a problem or something like that with Cain's offering when he brought it from the ground. Well, simple truth. It wasn't just because he brought it from the ground, he gave what he had from the ground. He didn't give what he had from his heart. He didn't give what he had from his spirit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because the spirit that he gave in was a stingy, selfish, unbelieving spirit.
Mm-hmm.
He did not give the best that he had. He didn't trust his Elohim to give him the best that he had. Because he said, well, in his heart, he probably said, hey, I got this to give. I'm not giving it all. I had to plant this. It grew. I had to harvest it. I had to beat on the ground. I had to get the grain and so forth. So I don't know if I'm going to give this much. I don't know how I'm going to have this back to myself. But he didn't realize Yahweh, the one who gave that to you, he allowed it to grow. He gave it the rain. He gave it good earth for it to grow. It wouldn't grow from what you did. So you wouldn't bless Yahweh with what you had, the substance that you had. So why is it Yahweh, bless it in abundance for you? You know what I mean? If you being stingy with him, he can be stingy with you. But he didn't get that concept, that he wouldn't give it from his heart. So that's why he erred. So when he was told, the error of his ways, through love, because his brother told him with love. He didn't scold him and beat him up. He tried to rap to him. Let me help you, brother. What's going on with you? He got ticked off and murdered his brother because he would not follow the truth. He got anger in his heart. See, this is why we have issues in our life. Because we don't want to take, love criticism. We don't want to take correction. Even though some people don't give it correctly to you, they're too vicious. I know sometimes I act that way.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But we're supposed to see what the baby is. And don't throw the baby out with the backwater. Throw the dirty backwater out. And eat what we can off that bone. So you look at what brother just said, he just talked about he's washing, he wants the Levites to be cleansed, purified before him.
Mm-hmm.
And my brother made a point about why he wants the Levites to be cleansed. It's not that he don't want everybody else to be cleansed. It's because what he said. He is closest to the Most High. And since he's close to the Most High, because he has to deal with holy things, he's making them you could say the priest of the house.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have to represent him. So you have to have in your heart that you trust the Most High, you love the Most High, and you're going to do the Most High's will. And you're going to respect what he has. So the other people can see what you're doing. So you can be a representative to the people and say, you see them Levites over there? They don't have inheritance. But yet they respect what Yahweh has. They respect Yahweh's holy things. So, and what they do, they take Yahweh, the gift of Yahweh's house, and bless the people who don't have anything. They feed the homeless, the widow, the elderly, what else?
Fatherless.
The fatherless.
Mm-hmm.
So they have that job to do, and they do it willingly. But if they start bastardizing their job and disrespect Yahweh, then the people see that, and then they don't follow suit. You know, they did follow suit and make a mistake. So, you know, we have to learn these things. Slowly but surely, we have to learn these things. So my brother did bring a very good point. Some people look at that and see on the surface view of what it means. But when you dig down in and get them gold nuggets, you understand? That's what he's doing. He's putting this in his crucible, and our gold and silver is burning and melting, and we get dross on top. Once that dross is pushed to the side, we have to see what else is pure left.
Right.
That is what we have to go before the Father with, to lay down before his feet. If you ain't got nothing to get before a king, you cast out.
Right. All right. What verse we on, brother?
Verse 11.
All right.
Malachi chapter 3, verse 11. And I will rebuke the devourer for your sakes, and he shall not destroy the fruits of your ground, neither shall your vine cast her fruit before the time in the field, says Yahweh of hosts. And all nations shall call you blessed, for you shall be a delightsome land, says Yahweh of hosts. Your words have been stout against me, says Yahweh. Yet you say, what have we spoken so much against you? You have said, it is vain to serve Elohim. And what profit is it that we have kept his ordinance, and that we have walked mournfully before Yahweh of hosts? And now we call the proud happy, yea, they that work wickedness are set up. Yea, they that tempt Elohim are even delivered.
And it's the same thing we see now. We call the proud happy. Oh, they seem happy. He's not keeping the commandments. You know, he's got a nice house and car. He's happy. You know, and they that work wickedness are set up. So we're seeing, hey, listen, they're stealing, they're robbing, they're cheating, they're doing whatever they're working on the Sabbath, and they're getting raised up. And they that tempt Elohim are even delivered. So don't believe for a second that this is going to be long term. Eventually, at the end of it, they all see the result of that kind of lifestyle. But what we're supposed to know is that it's not going to benefit us to do that, because we believe the words that he is telling us. The same way we believe that if we do the right thing that we are going to be blessed, we have to believe the same thing, that if we don't do the right thing, we're going to be cursed. It goes hand in hand. You have to believe that. Go ahead.
Verse 16. Then they that feared Yahweh spoke often one to another, and Yahweh hearkened and heard it. And a book of remembrance was written before him for them that feared Yahweh and that thought upon his name.
So there's a book of remembrance. All these things are being written down for those that feared Yahweh. Even though you can't make people do the right thing, you can say, well, I fear Yah. I'm not going to do that. And I would suggest that you don't do that. And those people are walking mourning, like we just read here, that walked mournfully before Yahweh of hosts. They're mourning. This is why they're supposed to be wearing black. That's why they say those fake Jewish people wear black, because they're supposed to be mourning. We're the ones that's mourning because we look at how our people are acting and how we act and how we fall on a daily basis when we're supposed to know better. So these people that are thinking about his name, when you think about his name, you're dedicating everything you do to him, because you're constantly thinking his name and you're making your decisions out of a reverence, a Yahweh, a fear, a healthy fear for the Most High. And there's going to be a book of remembrance for those type of people. Go ahead.
Verse 17. And they shall be mine, says Yahweh of hosts, in that day when I make up my jewels, and I will spare them as a man spares his own son that serves him.
All right. And they shall be mine in that day when I make up my jewels. To make up his jewels, he's going to grab treasure. He's not going to grab trash. So for us to be that segulah, that peculiar people that treasure unto him, we have to obey his word. And when we do that, we become the jewels. And when we become the jewels, now he's going to gather his treasure, but it's in his day. In the meanwhile, that diamond is in the rough. It's in the dirt. It's buried until his time to surface that.
And that same word for jewels there is 54, 59, segula again.
Same word. When I make up my peculiar people, when I make up my treasure, when I make up my valuables, I'm going to take the apple of my eye and I'm going to put them together. Go ahead.
Verse 18. Then shall you return and discern between righteous and the wicked, between him that serves Elohim and him that serves him not.
Right. When we have made that cut, now you'll be able to judge. Right now, we ain't able to judge. We trying to learn how to be a jewel, how to be a treasure. So there's no time for that. So when we have two pieces of coal together and we know there's a diamond together, we got to rub ourselves against each other. Iron got to sharpen iron so that we can help ourselves become jewels, because ain't nan one of us walking around here like a diamond. We have so many layers of Babylon in us that we got to burn off. So that's acceptable. So we should be humble in that process. And like the elder said, we should be able to accept correction. All right, let's move on. Let's go to Exodus chapter 28. We're going to go to Shemot chapter 28. And we're going to take a look at these priest garments. Part of the glory of Yah is not only in just the righteous acts, it's also in appearance and beauty, in the stature. Don't no husband want his wife walking around looking like she's, a pauper in the street, poor. That's his glory. That's his wife. He wants her dressed nice, looking nice, healthy, acting nice, having a good personality, a good spirit about her. It's the same thing with Yah. He wants his people, his apple of his eye, the nation he chose to marry. He wants us to be in glory and in beauty. So part of that glory is when we are dressed appropriately and we are donned in a very beautiful manner, and then the spirit and the personality and the actions matches the outer appearance. That's how he gets the full beauty. You think he's going to get as much glory if we looking all busted, looking like Kanye West line of clothes? If we looking like that, looking like we out of Star Wars? But we are beautiful people inside. Do you think he's getting as much glory? Or do you think he gets more glory when he's got healthy, beautiful people dressed in their cultural apparel and they got the spirit and the actions to match that beauty? So people will try to dumb you down and tell you, well, you got to look all raggedy, or you can't be beautiful, or a woman can't dress a certain way. That shouldn't be the most beautiful thing about her. Because even the priests here, they're telling you how their apparel was for. Let's start this at verse 1.
And take you unto you Aaron your brother and his sons with him from among the children of Yasharal, that he may minister unto me in the priest's office. Even Aaron, Nadab, and Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar, Aaron's sons. And you shall make holy garments for Aaron your brother, for glory and for beauty.
All right, so those were the four branches of the high priests. Nadab, Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar. All the high priests have to come from those four brothers right there, because those are the sons of Aaron. And some of these lines got cut off. Go ahead.
Verse 3. And you shall speak unto all that are wise-hearted, whom I have filled with the spirit of wisdom, that they may make Aaron's garments to consecrate him, that he may minister unto me in the priest's office.
So these garments, according to verse 2, are holy Kodesh garments that are for glory and beauty. So the people that he's calling closer to him, which will be the sons of Aaron, which are the high priests or the Levites, Yahweh wants his glory on them and he wants beauty on them. So when he's calling us closer, not only our outer appearance, but our inner appearance should also be full of glory for the Most High and full of beauty. Exactly. We represent in the Most High. Go ahead.
Verse 4. And these are the garments which they shall make: a breastplate, and an ephod, and a robe, and a broidered coat, and a mitre, and a girdle, and a... And they shall make holy garments for Aaron your brother, and his son, that he may minister unto me in the priest's office. And they shall take gold, and blue, and purple, and scarlet, and fine linen.
All right. So this is talking about the dress code of the high priest, of how he was supposed to be dressed. But again, we just read in Exodus 19, you are a nation of priests. So there's a certain dress code for the priest, and then there's a certain dress code for the high priest. So this is why we take the dress code of a priest, because we are a nation of priests. That's the prototype of how we are to approach unto the Most High. And for the fact that especially that we know geographically and timeline wise, we are likely of the tribe of Levi, Benjamin, or Yehuda. So we might, in any one of people in this room might be an actual Levite. Or in addition to that, might be an actual son of Aaron. We don't know that. So this is the dress code that we're supposed to be having as priests. Go ahead.
Verse 6. And they shall make an ephod of blue, of gold, and of purple, and scarlet, and fine twined linen with cunning work. It shall have the 2 shoulder pieces thereof joined at the 2 edges thereof, and so it shall be joined together. And the curious girdle of the ephod which is upon it shall be of the same, according to the work thereof, even of gold, of blue, and purple, and scarlet, and fine twined linen. And you shall take 2 onyx stones, and grave on them the names of the children of Yasharal, 6 of their names on one stone, and the other 6 names of the rest on the other stone according to their birth. With the work of an engraver in stone, like the engravings of a signet, you shall engrave the 2 stones with the names of the children of Yasharal. You shall make them to be set in ouches of gold. And you shall put the 2 stones upon the shoulders of the ephod for stones of memorial unto the children of Yasharal, and Aaron shall bear their names before Yahweh upon his 2 shoulders for a memorial.
So it's very symbolic. He is the one that is approaching close unto the Most High, taking the risk. Because if he goes, the closer you are to the Most High, the less room for mistakes you have, the less room for your uncleanness that you have, the easier to get judged. So the high priest is going before Yahweh, and he is going to bear the iniquity of the children of Yasharal and try to atone for their sins. So this is why there's symbolism in this, why he's carrying the burden of the 12 tribes on him because of his job. Go ahead.
Verse 13. And you shall make ouches of gold, and 2 chains of pure gold at the ends of wreathen work shall you make them, and fasten the wreathen chains to the ouches. And you shall make the breastplate of judgment with cunning work after the work of the ephod you shall make it. Of gold, of blue, and of purple, and of scarlet, and of fine twined linen shall you make it. 4 square it shall be, being doubled. A span shall be the length thereof, and a span shall be the breadth thereof. And you shall set in it settings of stones, even 4 rows of stones. The first row shall be sardius, a topaz, a carbuncle. This shall be the first row. And the second row shall be an emerald, a sapphire, and a diamond. And the third row, a ligure, an agate, and an amethyst. And the 4th row, a beryl, and an onyx, and a jasper. And they shall be set in gold in their enclosings.
And that's the ephod with the 12 stones that represent the 12 tribes. All right, so let's stop right there. Let's move on. So this is glorious. This is a beautiful thing. This man walking around with mad jewelry on. Gold and chains and precious jewels. And this represents who we are. We are jewels. We are treasure. This is how he gets his glory. A man, gets glory carnally by, his jewels, his ring. A king has his crown, has all these different things. And this is who we are to the Most High. We're his jewelry. This is where the glory is supposed to be placed on. But he can't have that. And it says many, in Hosea, many years will go without a king, without a sacrifice, without an ephod, without a high priest, without that glory, without somebody that's going to go and atone for our sins. Yeah. This is prophesied because if you go back into Malachi chapter 2, it talks about that. The priests profaned. Their sacrifices no longer being offered because the priests were not clean enough to offer the stuff. They were caught up in their own sins. So the whole head was sick.
People wearing turbans today. People wearing no turban.
Right, a turban would be considered the mitre. Would be like a mitre to cover the whole head. And a lot of people get confused and think this is a mitre. That's not a mitre. No, if you look at it, if you look at the definition, this will be the bonnet. And this, where people complain about this, when it says a cap, this is a cap. It's more modern, but it's still a cap. It's still hemispherical. It's not covering the whole head.
That's right.
All right, let's go to Tehillim chapter 90.
And
Psalms, Tehillim chapter 90. What'd you say, bro?
yeah, I mean, Yah's putting all this emphasis and this glory upon his people. And it's through us and our correction and through our humbling that he's going to reconcile the nations unto himself, reconcile the world, the repentant world, back unto himself. So that's pretty much why all that emphasis is on, you know, his 12 tribes and why he took them, and then 12 constellations and all those things. But it's all for the glory of the rest of the world. But right now they don't really see it that way.
Right, right. And he's putting all this emphasis where he's these are commandments, by the way. And that's when people talk about 613 commandments. A lot of these commandments don't even apply to you. So people talking about, I can't keep 613. You're not supposed to keep 613 commandments. You're not a Levite. You're not a high priest. Folks are just using it as an excuse not to keep the 10 commandments, not to keep the moral commandments, not to keep the holy days. So don't let nobody tell you that about there's 613 commandments you can't keep. All 613 commandments don't apply to you. You didn't kill somebody. Did you kill somebody? If you killed somebody, there's a certain law you got to follow for that.
And are you a man that's menstruating?
Right. You don't menstruate. You got to be put away.
That don't apply to you.
You an elder? You know, so it's a mind frame that the adversary tries to force on us, that we can't be righteous. We can't keep these commandments. Will you be perfect and never mess up? No, we know that. But guess what? The commandment is, when you mess up, do what? Repent, confess, restore. Psalms, Tehillim, chapter 90.
Yahweh, you have been our dwelling place in all generations. Before the mountains were brought forth, or ever you had formed the earth and the world, even from everlasting to everlasting, you are all. You turn man to destruction and say, return you, children of men. For 1,000 years in your sight are but as yesterday when it is past, and as a watch in the night.
And that's where you get another confirmation of a year to Yahweh is like 1,000 years. This is why they were able in the New Testament to be able to pull these things out.
You carry them away as with a flood. They are as a sheep in the morning. They are like grass which grows up. In the morning it flourishes and grows up. In the evening it is cut down and withers. For we are consumed by your anger, and by your wrath we are troubled. You have set our iniquities before you, our secret sins in the light of your countenance. For all our days are passed away in your wrath. We spend our years as a tale that is told. The days of our years are 70, and if by reason of strength they may be 80 years, yet is their strength, labor, and sorrow. For it is soon cut off, and we fly away.
And that's verse 9. For all our days are passed away in wrath. We spend our years as a tale that is told. And we were just talking about that today. All these movies they making about us. This great prevailing of something. Well, why they prevailing something? They got to prevail something because they had the wrath of the Most High, because we weren't keeping our end of the bargain. So after we cry and we complain and we've been enslaved for so long, and it gets so wicked that Yahweh just cannot take any more of hurting the apple of his eye. Then he sends a judge to deliver us. And then they sit and they write a movie about us, and they just replace us with somebody of another nation. Go ahead.
Verse 11. Who knows the power of your anger? Even according to your fear, so is your wrath. So teach us to number our days, that we may apply our hearts unto wisdom. Return, O Yahweh, how long? And let it repent you concerning your servants. O satisfy us early with your mercy, that we may rejoice and be glad all our days. Make us glad according to the days wherein you have afflicted us, and the years wherein we have seen evil. Let your work appear unto your servants, and your glory unto their children. And let the beauty of Yahweh our Elohim be upon us, and establish you the work of our hands upon us. Yea, the work of our hands, establish you it.
And let the beauty of Yahweh our Elohim be upon us. Let us become those treasures, those jewels, that segula, that strange and peculiar people, that thing that gives him glory when he looks down at that diamond shining, that most beautiful diamond you can think about, the biggest, most beautiful, and the most beautiful cut diamond. And somebody is going to look at that and just, wow, be amazed and say, this is yours? Wow, how glorious that is. That's how we're supposed to be in this world. And we were the only ones that were given the ability to be that. Nobody else was given that. So how wicked is it for us to not take that opportunity? We have a coal that is supposed to be a diamond, and we're amongst all these other rocks. And we the one that's a diamond, and he's given us the tools to shine it. He's given us the pressure, the heat to cause that coal to turn into a diamond. And we decide, nah, we're just going to disintegrate. We don't want to turn into a diamond. But he's like, this is what I made you for, so that I can look down at this beautiful diamond and say, man, this is beautiful. Look at my glory. But we don't want to do that. Go ahead, Elder. You have something?
Yeah, something I want to reflect on. That was great what you just said, bro, because, you know, Yahweh wants to, you know, show his diamonds that are his to everybody. You know, I mean, just like he did with Job. You know, he was a diamond. He was upright before Yahweh, but Yahweh had proved that diamond in front of the enemy. He just said, I'm going to show that this is a diamond, and he's going to shine.
Right.
Even in the face of adversity. You know, well, I believe Yahweh wants all of us to do the same thing. You know, we all have our trials that we have to go through. You know, and going through those trials, we also, you know, look at Yahweh in this passage, you know, as it says right here in verse 14, oh, satisfy us early with thy mercy. You know, that we may rejoice and be glad in our days. And I'm looking at that like this, right? Our days are shortened right now. We don't have Methuselah's days. We don't have hundreds of years to look forward to walking on this earth in our flesh, you know? So I'm looking at that like, you know, we're asking Yahweh to have mercy upon us so we will rejoice and we will glorify his holy name because we see, you know, his love upon us, especially after we go into a trial, you know, and Yahweh's walking with us hand in hand as we go through that trial. And most of the time when we fall on our knees, we fall down, we stumble, you know, and sometimes we do stupid things, you know, but if we hold on to Yahweh, he's going to walk us through that and carry us, you know, and then when we can't walk no further, and then because he's given us his mercies, and when the trial is over with, we see and we reflect back how Yahweh took care of us. And we give him that glory and we shout out glory. We can tell our brothers and sisters how what Yahweh had done for us so they can give Yahweh glory. Because they're also looking for the same love for their problems, you know, in their situations, you know. If Yahweh can take care of my brother and I worship the same Elohim and I'm following, then Yahweh going to give me mercy also because I believe in him. You understand? So this is the way I see that right there. And this is what we all looking for. Because what Yahweh say, okay, we may have 70 years. You understand? So that means that how kind of person we have to be.
Right.
In our how we say when we first get baptized, we're in our infancy stage, and it's like, you know, the wedding, you know, and so what you call it?
The honeymoon stage.
The honeymoon walk. So, you know, Yahweh is teaching you things, and you're smiling, you hopefully you should feel the love and Yahweh warmed up, and so you can get on that little road, you understand? Once you get on that road, then everything come at you. You know what I mean? I don't even know where they come at you, but when they come at you, don't you hope in your heart when it comes at you, you know, you always have mercy. Say, okay, son, daughter, you're going to go through this little thing right here, but I got mercy for you, so I'm going to pick you off the ground. And you saw me? I was right there. I picked you up. I walked you through it.
Right.
Next step is going to get a little harder. It's going to get a little harder until, you know, you're going to be, how you say, accomplish something in your life toward me. And you're going to see what you've done. Understand? That way you know I was there with you.
Right.
You know, so this is what we're looking for. We're looking to see Yahweh's presence in our lives.
Right.
We believe in that he's there. You You know what I mean? We wasn't back in the day where we walked with Yeshua and saw all these buku miracles it done in his hand. You understand? Right. So we believing was what this wonderful book says.
Right.
You know, so I just want to impart that because, you know, it gets a little rough sometimes, so we have to have some encouragement.
Right, and that's a great point because we don't have all those miracles and everything in front of us. So they got to look at us for the miracles. They got to look at the changes in our lives and say, man, I remember that sister, how she used to be. And look, since she got the word, look at her now. Yeah. Wow. That ain't her because I know who she was. That's glory to the Most High that he was able to do that. And it's just like when you put a ring, you get your wife a beautiful ring and you put this nice, beautiful ring on her finger. You want people to see that? Show that. Let me see that. Show them. When a woman get that ring, she letting everybody, she everything got her hand up in the air. She, you know, she got to, she got to cough all the time. You know, that ring going to be seen. You know what I'm saying? She doing the princess wave. You know, she want everybody to see that because it's glorious. That glorious goes to that husband. That husband want to see it too. Yeah, I put 10 months into that ring right there. And it's going to be another 10 months till it's paid off. So that's a glory. So the Most High is like, look, I done put all this work into you. All this glory. Then created this diamond. Gave you the spirit. Gave you my image and all that. And you want to take that glory away? And we're not giving him no glory unless we're a jewel, unless we're a treasure. And that's what we don't want. We let the adversary convince us, you ain't nothing. You ain't no treasure. You just like everybody else. Look at you just like you're not special. You're not peculiar. Furthermore, this is what's really worth something. This piece of trash right here. That don't worry about. Oh, that one's already deteriorated. Oh, there's another one over here. Get this one. That's what he's trying to convince us.
The gift to the gift giver.
Right. Let's go to 2 Corinthians chapter 3. So, you know, a lot of times we approach this class for glory as far as, you know, we trying to take the glory and put it somewhere else. We don't consider the fact that when the glory is supposed to be on us and we don't allow that glory. We don't allow that glory to shine bright.
That's because healing is on the way. That's why, you know. Mm-hmm. So you ain't going to need those.
He said, magnify this word. These brothers magnifying this word up in here. 2 Corinthians chapter 3. So he's in Psalms is saying, let the beauty of Yahweh be upon us. The beauty of Yahweh is his righteousness, his Shem, his character, his name, his word, his spirit, the blessings that come along with an individual that possesses that. So now in 2 Corinthians chapter 3, we're going to see how some of this glory is being changed and how we are becoming part of this beauty through the Mashiach. This is how we're being changed into that same image of beauty. Through this word. 2 Corinthians chapter 3. We're going to start this at verse 1.
Do we begin again to commend ourselves? Or need we, as some others, epistles of commendation to you, or letters of commendation from you? You are our epistle, written in our hearts, known and read of all men. For as much as you are manifestly declared to be the epistle of Mashiach, ministered by us, written not with ink, but with the Spirit of the living Elohim. Not in tables of stone, but in fleshly tables of the heart.
All right, so he's getting spiritual now. He's talking to some people that can understand something, because now he's talking about the word in flesh. We have become the word in flesh. The Mashiach was the word in flesh. And when we were being reborn and we are brought into his body, we are now becoming the word in flesh. And this brother is breaking this stuff down. We are a letter. We are an epistle. We are a book. Just like the books that are going to be opened up. The books and the book of life and the other books. Go ahead.
And such trust have we through Mashiach to Elohim. Not that we are sufficient of ourselves to think anything as of ourselves, but our sufficiency is of Elohim, who also has made us able ministers of the New Testament, not of the letter, but of the Spirit. For the letter kills, but the Spirit gives life.
All right. The letter of that law says that you have to kill something when you transgress. But the spirit of the law says you died when you sinned, but your belief, your repentance, and you being covered under the blood of the Mashiach has given you life. You're not dead. You have a second chance.
Mm-hmm. You know, I've been thinking about that quote they use a lot. You know, how Yahshua being the word in flesh, and the word coming, dwelling in a man, knowing that he was pre-existent, you know, like he was the benchmark for all humanity. And looking at how the word tells us to be, you know, how Yah says, you know, restore the pledge and restore what you stole, and how to come back from degenerative mindsets and diseased areas of the soul. And I'll compare it to, like, you know, animal kingdom. You can always learn something. Yahweh always put some type of wisdom in some animal out there. So let's say an octopus per se, or a lizard. If something happens that's detrimental to the body of an octopus or a lizard, in a little bit of time, what happens? They regenerate that limb. And when you're the word in flesh, you look at how Yahshua spoke about how we resolve conflict, or how we resolve some level of sickness in the spiritual body. You know, brother against brother, or brother against sister, some kind of rift. He says, you know, don't return reviling for reviling. You know, somebody asks your cloak, you let them have it. Don't ask for it back. Things of that nature. Pretty much not allowing any negativity to harbor or fester and latch on and create that cancer or create that sickness in our body. So him being the word in flesh, he's pretty much that prototype of how we should be, you know, and us being empty vessels that we can replicate that spirit. We could grow whenever something happened that cuts the body. We already have the mentality of how can I manifest some level of regeneration here, some restorative process, some redemptive process that rebuilds what was lost. And this word in flesh, this understanding, helps us to do that on purpose. Because just recently I came across a video about the Adamandan tribe or something like that. Some pretty much ancient black people living on an island off the coast of India.
I know you're talking about,
And their whole environment has been protected, and they were like, you know, people have been coming in there trying to see about them, see what their life has been like. And they talk about, you know, how they don't really like the outside world. And when you hear about the things they like, they say, we like the fact that, you know, we love one another, we have peace. And they might not necessarily know all Yah's law, but what they've been able to preserve on the island, because we've seen civilizations not make it this far, because the ignorance that they were producing, Yah was like, I can't let y'all live. There's another nation of people who love to plunder, and they're gonna capture you, and they're gonna overthrow you because y'all manifest wickedness in this area. But unknowingly and ignorantly, these people may have been able to be preserved because of what them as a society valued. They valued family. They valued love for one another. They valued that brotherhood and sisterhood that they had among one another. And just those little concepts were able to preserve them. And now Yahshua and Yah the word that they're trying to manifest among us is trying to help us to bring that word on purpose,
Right.
not ignorantly. Like, oh, you know what? For 100,000 years, we like the fact that we've been nice to one another, and let me just do it.
Produce your cause intentionally.
And do it with intent. Exactly. Exactly.
Right.
Hallelujah.
And you know, that's a good point. You know, one thing that they, you know, always try to tell us, fight fire with fire. No, you don't. You fight fire with water.
Yeah,
you know what I'm
yeah.
saying? Or some chemical to put, depending on what kind of fire it is. So when you are with somebody, we know the simple mathematics of the law. Transgression of the law creates death. The wages of sin is death. So when you have a misalignment between a brother and sister, there's some kind of transgression going on. And it could be both, or it could be one individual. Well, if you are on the other side and you see the clear transgression, you don't fight fire with fire. You don't say, okay, death. Where you're supposed to warn the person, hey, don't let sin suffer upon you according to the commandment. But you fighting that with more sin, you're not going to create life with death on top of death on top of death. There's got to be some life put in there some kind of way.
Exactly.
So that regeneration process is, okay, there's been death created. Now we're going to inject life in that. And the adversary can't do that. So all he can do is just multiply death.
And he likes it when we're ignorant in our mind, when we don't understand how to be peaceable. If you even think about right before an argument is about to start between two people, it's like both of them are intent on being right. And it'll be like this argument, and it's like people on the outside will be able to see it, but the people in don't realize like this the way they're coming at each other, there's not going to be an end. Like this is how sickness starts. You feel me? Like just how when somebody has the flu, it just spreads throughout the whole body. The same way in the spirit, those things happen, and those contentions can only get worse because both parties don't understand that the way we're coming at this is only destructive. It's only gonna wear us down. Right. That's why the scripture says, don't quarrel and do backbiting before you devour one another, because that's pretty much what happens. And ignorantly, we don't understand that the way we're coming at this isn't gonna fix it. So when you look at how Yahshua dealt with things, he'll say his piece, and when he realizes, all right, that soul over there isn't cognizant of what I'm saying. And when you see him like drilling a point, it's because he's purposely trying to egg them on. Like, y'all are going to see for yourselves the wickedness you love to manifest. What are you stoning me for? What are all these good
works are you stoning me for?
Which good work are y'all stoning me for today? And he's like taking advantage of their ignorance at that point. Although it's to his detriment, but he's showing that whoever is witnessing this from the outside, you know that I'm all knowing. You know that I know men's hearts. But when you see me entertain these things on purpose, you realize that I'm trying to let these people see. And if they don't see, I'm letting you see that there's a destruction here. Everything I'm saying is right. And it's being met with wrong. So you can know that there's a spirit of error here. And in those spirits of error, the enemy can dance and do his thing and cause all kinds of mayhem in any situation. And we have to be purposefully doing these things instead of ignorantly.
What was interesting when you brought that up, one of my teachers taught me something in in our own private conversation. He said, man, when you sometimes when you got a demon and you can see a demon on somebody and you're trying to get rid of that demon, he was like, sometimes you got to back that demon in a wall. You got to back him in a corner. And you do that, and he said, you got to be very careful. And I always was very careful with that. When you seeing that argument and you seeing that demon is rearing his head, you got to do like Yahshua did. He's like, he backed him in a corner to force you to either blaspheme or back up off that thing. And you don't want to just do that. You don't do that to somebody that's ignorant because they don't know any better. You're just going to cause them to hurt themselves. But somebody that's supposed to know better, you back them in that corner. And you force them to make a decision that either you're going to blaspheme the Holy Spirit, blaspheme Yah, or back up off. And that will send that spirit running. And I've done it a few times. I've tried it a few times, and it works. And it works to break up for a minute, just to break up. Like, what are you doing? Listen to what you're doing. And that's something that Yahshua was actually, and I never had the example to go with it. I've only just used it. And that's what you'll do. especially when you're dealing with somebody that esteems the Most High and you see that their actions are not of the Most High, challenge them. Back them in that corner. So you saying that forget about these commandments, forget about Yahweh. So you don't believe this is not real, or whatever way, you know, and the appropriate for the situation. And in their anger, they're either going to say some stuff. But most of us have enough love and understanding and appreciation for the Most High that it's going to cause us to think for just a second before we operate.
Hopefully.
And then when you think for a second and be like, well, wait a minute, you're not going to trick me into doing this, and then it'll just bring their mind off of the situation.
We are at 2 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 4. And such trust have we through Mashiach to Elohim.
Oh, we're on verse.
We just did fleshly tables of the heart, correct?
We're at verse 7. We're at verse 7. Because remember, the law, the letter kills, but the spirit gives life.
Indeed. Verse 7.
2 Corinthians chapter 3 and verse 7.
But if the ministration of death, written and engraven in stones, was glorious, so that the children of Yasharal could not steadfastly behold the face of Moshe for the glory of his countenance, which glory was to be done away, how shall not the ministration of the Spirit be rather glorious? For if the ministration of condemnation be glory, much more does the ministration of righteousness exceed in glory. For even that which was made glorious had no glory in this respect, by reason of the glory that excels. For if that which is done away was glorious, much more that which remains is glorious. Seeing then that we have such hope, we use great plainness of speech. And not as Moshe, which put a veil over his face, that the children of Yasharal could not steadfastly look to the end of that which is abolished. But their minds were blinded, for until this day remains the same veil untaken away in the reading of the Old Testament, which veil is done away in Mashiach. But even unto this day, when Moshe is read, the veil is upon their heart. Nevertheless, when it shall turn to Yahweh, the veil shall be taken away.
So this is that blindness that we're talking about. This veil that's upon their heart is causing a separation from the word being allowed to enter into their heart. So it causes a blindness. But when they return to this word, when it says return to Yahweh, when they return to the righteousness of the word, the veil can be removed. And to return to Yahweh is to turn away from sin, to repent. Go ahead.
Verse
17.
Now Yahweh is that spirit, and where the spirit of Yahweh is, there is liberty. But we all, with open face, beholding as in a glass the glory of Yahweh, are changed into the same image from glory to glory, even as by the Spirit of Yahweh.
All right, so we are being changed into that image of the Mashiach, the image of this word, what the word in flesh looks like. We're being changed into that. And when it's talking about here that that we all have liberty in this word, what that means is that these laws, statutes, and commandments were put in place to cause us to depart from sin. Now that we have this new covenant through the Mashiach, we are now able to do certain things which might have been considered a sin according to the letter of the law. Yep. But we are serving the Most High in our minds. And that's a very dangerous thing. And this is not a concept he's going to explain to people that are new, that really don't understand. Because the flesh will convince you to do things for your own fleshliness. But you're not supposed to use this liberty for occasion of the flesh. You have liberty to do something that may appear unlawful on the surface. Because in your mind, you're serving the Most High. This is why he said, all things are lawful unto me, but all things aren't expedient. Because I serve the Most High in my mind. So we should have a mind towards the Most High to do the right thing in a situation. And the commandments are the guide in how to do that. Let's move on. Let's go to Psalms chapter 8. Tehillim chapter 8. And that's why some of Saul's writings are very difficult for people to get into, because if you're not careful, you can take it the wrong way. You can justify a whole lot of wickedness. But at the end of the day, if you're looking at those writings to learn how to be righteous and walk in righteousness, the Spirit is going to guide you. Especially if you got the commandments on your side, you're going to know, wait a minute, there's no reason why I should be doing this or be doing that. I don't care that I have the liberty to do that. I would only be doing it to satisfy myself. You could be honest with yourself. Or you might be in a situation that, listen, I got to do this. I got to work on this Sabbath day to help this person. They're about to die. This situation, they're about to be in the streets. There's something really bad is going to happen. I got to do this. I have the liberty to do this because I'm not doing it for occasion in the flesh. I'm not doing it, well, because I'm trying to get in good with this person because I want them to give me some money. Or I'm trying to get in good with the sister, so I'm going to profane the Sabbath day. I'm going to come do this, go move a whole house on the Sabbath because I'm trying to get with... Nah, that's for yourself. Sure. There's a difference. You're not going to fool you're not going to fool Yahweh. You definitely ain't going to fool yourself because you know what you're doing.
Yeah, in other words, telling you supposed to stand fast in liberty, that Yeshua had made us free, but don't return back to that yoke, don't return back to that sin.
Right.
Psalms, Tehillim, chapter 8. And we're beginning at verse 1. You got it, Mama? Mm-hmm. All right, let's go. O Yahweh, our sovereign, how excellent is your name in all the earth, who has set your glory above the heavens. Out of the mouth of babes and sucklings have you ordained strength because of your enemies, that you might still the enemy and the avenger. When I consider your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and the stars which you have ordained.
Now, what's that word for moon?
Yeriach.
Okay, it's not Hodesh. It's not new month. New month. There's a completely different word for moon. Go ahead.
When I consider your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and the stars which you have ordained, what is man that you are mindful of him, and the son of man that you visit him? For you have made him a little lower than the angels, and have crowned him with glory and honor. You made him to have dominion over the works of your hands. You have put all things under his feet.
All right. So how does a master receive glory through the people that he sets up to do work?
When they serve him gladfully and willingly.
And do a good job.
Yeah.
You know, you can be as happy as ever to work for somebody because they don't require you to do nothing. You know, I love working for him. I don't got to do crap. You know, I just show up and get paid. Yeah, you could love somebody there, but if you ain't doing a good job, when that master is requiring you to do a good job, but we can't even get to the point of doing a good job. Get to doing a good job. Now you get even more reward, like you said, when you serving him gladfully, because you don't get no reward for doing what you're supposed to do. That's an unprofitable servant. You haven't made any money. You did exactly what you're supposed to do, is going above and beyond. I'm going to do the job, and I'm going to serve gladfully with a good spirit, and I'm going to help other people do the same.
I think I had merged gladly and willfully. It gladfully. Yeah. But I think gladly is what I could have said. But I guess when it's coming to Yah, it'd be like, I'm going to gladfully do this.
Yeah. Full of gladness. Yeah. Definitely.
Verse 6. You have made him to have dominion over the works of your hands. You have put all things under his feet. All sheep and oxen, yea, and the beasts of the field, the fowl of the air and the fish of the sea, and whatsoever passes through the paths of the seas. O Yahweh, our sovereign, how excellent is your name in all the earth.
All right, let's hear the conclusion. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Let's go to Romans chapter 2 for the conclusion. Romans chapter 2, and shalom, Sister Marshall. Shalom, Brother Andrew Archer. Shalom, brother.
You know, I'm sure there's so many people that have like testimonies of when they felt like they didn't have a way out or something, and out of nowhere they found deliverance, that, you know, the door seemed shut, and out of nowhere, you know, help came. And just like how we just read, you know, how wonderful is Yah's name in all the earth. Yah is a ever-present help in times of need, you know. And as you continue to trust him, and as he continues to bring you through hard times, bring you through rough times, set you in situations where all the people who used to help you before aren't even there to help.
Right.
And you feel like, oh, this situation is definitely gonna kill me or cripple me.
This is it.
This is it.
This is the big one.
Yeah, like I did it now, you know, and Yahweh just brings you through. You be like, man, like his love is way beyond what I can compensate.
Right.
And it's like, let me just submit so that whatever opportunity shows up, my mindset is already there. Like, this is my time to pay back the Most High, even though all things are His. But at least something I can offer. How about myself? How about my humility? Always being there to be His servant at any time I can in the ways that He's asked me to be.
Right. You know,
to bring Him glory.
And look at how much He's done for us in our wickedness. When we were just blind and as wicked as ever, and He's delivered us from some amazing things. If we go around the room right now and just talk about the stories, see, that's another thing, man. We, you know, people see us in the streets and they think that, you know, we just normal and we just, you know, we just some kind of different people that just decide to be right. Man, the story, each and every one of us got these individual stories of what He's done for us in our wickedness. So how much more is He going to do in our righteousness?
Hallelujah.
How much more? If He's doing that in our wickedness because He loves us, how much more does a father want to reward the guy that's getting straight A's, that you know, did this, just fed the poor and done all these different things? He's going to want to reward us. And the problem is because we have been rewarded for our wickedness, which we thought it was a reward for wickedness, but instead it was mercy that the Most High had on us. We think that we're okay in doing the things and being the way that we were before. And we think it's okay to handle things the way we handled it before. We thought that we had some kind of great spiritual understanding back then because it worked for us. Nah. Once you've been introduced to this light and the book has been opened up and you realize how blind you are, now it's time to get in here and learn Him. Get closer unto Him. The more you learn Him, the more you spend time with Him, which is in His Word. You spend time with Him, is the easier it is to identify Him in this world versus the adversary, the devil. It's easy to confuse them if you don't spend enough time with the Most High. But when you spend that time, you can easily see the difference between Yah and the evil. Easily see the difference between the Yah in somebody and the flesh in somebody. The adversary in somebody. You can notice those things. But to do that, we got to trust the one thing that He gave us. He gave us His Word. Everybody want to say, oh, well, I got discernment, I got spirit, I just know right from wrong. I can just do this and do that. If that was the case, why would He have spent so much intricate time to put all this word together, to give us all these prophets, to send all these teachers, all these people that die to preserve this stuff, if you were just so good that you can walk around and just know right from wrong? In Babylon, on top of that. But see, that's what the adversary tries to convince us. You don't need this. You don't need to use this time. You read this already. You don't need to go through this stuff so that you can not understand Him the way you should understand Him. So you can disconnect from the Spirit. So He got you. So then all you got to do is deal with your emotion in your flesh. This is why which is weak on all of us. Said the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak.
Very weak.
This is why all of us need to spend time in this word and trust it. Because when you spend time and you develop this, you tend to lean on it for everything in your life. I don't care if it's picking a shirt out in the morning. Which Kool-Aid I want to mix. Involve Yah in all of this because it's going to change the way that you think. And it's going to increase your chances at success.
If I get you a nice group, study group, you know, don't necessarily got to be with us. You know, study with us is preferred.
Even if it's by yourself, just spend time with the word. How can you spend time with anybody? I don't care who it is. Your friend, your doctor, your neighbor, your coworker. You spend time with somebody, you're going to learn them. You're going to learn who they are. You're going to learn what works with them, learn what doesn't work with them. Well, this is how we learn the Most High. And once we got that to our benefit, we can now put these things in action. And when you put a punch in action, you put a block or slip in action and you get good at it, you start to realize, you get confident. You start standing there and being able to move out of stuff because you know how the moves come. You know how to judge things before they happen. Look at body positioning. Look at them shoulders coming forward. Look at that knee coming up. Look at the leaning forward or leaning back. That's telling me what you're going to do. I already know before you do it. This is how we're supposed to be prepared in the word. And once you have that kind of vision and you can see that way, you're not going back to anything else. I'm not going back to trying to look in your eyes when I'm trying to spar with you. That ain't going to help me. You're not going to go backwards. So what you think the adversary is going to do? He's going to try to convince everything. Stay away from that word. Stay away from that study. Stay away from them spiritual people. Stay away from the scriptures. You stay away from YAH. You good right here by yourself. Let's go to the conclusions. Romans chapter 2. And let's start this at verse 1.
Therefore, you are inexcusable, O man, whosoever you are that judges. For wherein you judge another, you condemn yourself. For you that judge do the same things.
So when you judge, you pronouncing judgment on somebody. That person sinned. So they're about to go to the lake of fire. You just judged yourself. Because did you not sin? That's not your job. Your job ain't to judge nobody. You ain't shofatim. That's not your job. Your job is to depart from evil and help as many of your brothers and sisters do that. You ain't helping somebody depart from evil if you put them into evil. You evil. There it is. That's it. You ain't help him.
Verse 3. And think you this. Verse 2. But we are sure that the judgment of Elohim is according to truth against them which commit such things. And think you this, O man, that judge them which do such things and do the same, that you shall escape the judgment of Elohim? Or despise you the riches of his goodness and forbearance and long suffering, not knowing that the goodness of Elohim leads you to repentance? But after your hardness and impenitent heart, treasure up unto yourself wrath against the day of wrath and revelation of the righteous judgment of Elohim, who will render to every man according to his deeds, to them who by patient continuance in well-doing seek for glory and honor and immortality, eternal life. But unto them that are contentious and do not obey the truth, but obey unrighteousness, indignation and wrath, tribulation and anguish upon every soul of man that does evil.
All right, so we know that's guaranteed. Tribulation and anguish upon every soul, everybody that does evil. So we know that's going to happen. But here's a problem, though. There's also an order. Start that over.
Tribulation and anguish upon every soul of man that does evil, of the Yehudim first, and also of the Gentile.
All right. So tribulation and anguish is going to come to us first. This is why we get dealt with. But guess what? The glory, verse 10, but glory and honor and peace to every man that works good. Every man is going to reap what they sow. You're going to get good if you work good. But it comes to the Yehudim first, and then the Gentile. The Yehudi first, then the Goyim. So we want to receive the blessing first. So we got to receive that chastening first, because he wants to bless us first. Go ahead.
But glory, honor, and peace to every man that works good, to the Yehudim first, and also to the Gentile. For there is no respect of persons with Elohim. For as many as have sinned without law shall also perish without law, and as many as have sinned in law shall be judged by the law.
Again, the oldest statement in the world. I'd rather be judged by 12 than carried by 6. Do you want to perish without the law? There ain't no coming back from perishing. Or would you rather be judged, where the judgment is, where you have a judge who is merciful? Go ahead.
Verse 13. For not the hearers of the law are justified before Elohim, but the doers of the law shall be justified. For when the Gentiles which have not the law do by nature the things contained in the law, these, having not the law, are a law unto themselves, which show the work of the law written in their hearts, their conscience also bearing witness, and their thoughts, the meanwhile accusing or else excusing one another. In the day when Elohim shall judge the secrets of men by Yeshua Mashiach according to my good news, behold, you are called a Yehudim, and rest in the law, and make your boast of Elohim, and know his will, and approve the things that are more excellent, being instructed out of the law, and are confident that you yourself are a guide of the blind, a light to them which are in darkness, an instructor of the foolish, a teacher of babes which have the form of knowledge and of the truth in the law. You therefore which teach another, teach you not yourself? You that preach a man should not steal, do you steal? You that say a man should not commit adultery, do you commit adultery? You that abhor idols, do you commit sacrilege? You that make your boast of the law, through breaking the law, dishonor you Elohim? For the name of Yahweh is blasphemed among the Gentiles through you, as it is written.
So the name of Yah, this is how you take Yah's name in vain, when you blaspheme him. He gave us his name. We are named after him. Yasharah. Now, when we blaspheme Yahweh, is when we are supposed to be this glorious people that has Yah's glory on him, the diamonds of this earth, the shining, the diadem, the crown. We're supposed to be all these great things, but then yet we doing the same thing that we talking to other people about. Not only are we talking to people not to do it, we doing it on top of that. That's even doubly worse. So in order to give Yah this glory, we have to not blaspheme him, which means to glorify his name. The opposite of blaspheming would be to glorify it. Go ahead.
Verse 25. For circumcision verily profits if you keep the law. But if you be a breaker of the law, your circumcision is made uncircumcision. Therefore, if the uncircumcision keep the righteousness of the law, shall not his uncircumcision be counted for circumcision?
In other words, if the nations, without having the law, by nature do the righteousness of this law, shall not the fact that they not Israel, should that not be still counted as righteousness? Mm-hmm. So it's not talking about per se a man whether he's circumcised or not. That ain't going to cut it. There's plenty of heathens out here circumcised. Go ahead.
And shall not uncircumcision, which is by nature, if it fulfill the law, judge you, who by the letter of circumcision do transgress the law? For he is not a Yehudim, which is one outwardly, neither is that circumcision, which is outward in the flesh, but he is a Yehudim, which is one inwardly. And circumcision is that of the heart, in the spirit, and not in the letter, whose praise is not of men, but of Elohim.
All right. So this is talking about having more of a focus of being circumcised in the heart. Now we know as Hebrews, all the sons of Eber have to be circumcised. So that's just a carnal requirement. But at the end of the day, the circumcision we're supposed to be working on so that we can truly become that diamond is to be circumcised in the heart. And that will be the equivalent of taking that diamond that is beautiful, but it's rough, and wiping off all and polishing all that old soot and old carbon off of it until it shines, so that it can give the true glory back to the Father. So that's what the process that we are in. We are already a diamond, and we already have the pressure on us, which makes the diamond. But at certain point, it has to be polished. And that's what we need to do. Once you realize who you are, you realize you're a diamond, you realize who you belong to, you realize the glory is for you to shine and be a VVS, diamond or whatever, what is it, type A or whatever, or type K, colorless diamond or whatever the case may be. Then you have to be that. And that's going to take polishing in this word. And that's not going to always be an easy process. So let's continue to give that glory unto Yah, not take it away, and not allow the adversary, the devil, to get his glory. So that's all we're going to do today. Any last questions or comments before we close in prayer? All right, let's go ahead and end in a prayer. All brothers remove their head covers, and all sisters pray with their heads covered. And we face the east towards Jerusalem. All right, Brother Jonathan, can you go ahead and lead us out in prayer, please?
Father Yah, we thank you, Yahweh, for another day of provision, of mercy, of wisdom, of covering, oh Yah, and protection. We thank you, Yahweh, that you send angels to minister unto us and protect us from everything that would want our lives to be cut short in this time, O Yahweh, these perilous times in these last days, where men shall be lovers of themselves and money and all sorts of wickedness and haters of the good, Yah. Yahweh, help us to walk in your image and reflect your glory, O Yah. Help us to be lights unto those who dwell in darkness, and help us also, Yahweh, not to be ignorant of our own darkness, Yahweh, but allow your light to shine in the different crevices of our soul as we also look inwardly, Yahweh, and perfect ourselves in all things, building our testimony unto you and shining our reflection of you, O Yah. We thank you, Yahweh, and we bless your name. And it's through your Son, Yahshua, we pray. Amen.
Amen.